Right. Yes, so the other day we were looking at field values, right? I mean, like even though we are not able to implement it, we started looking at the field values. So what we did is when you have to deal with a list of choices, right? Or probably you have a standard set of choices that you have to display for a specific case type. Right? So what we do is ideally we can go for using a local list, right? So you define it directly on the property level so that you can use it as and when required. But the limitations that uh, are there for this particular approach is you cannot reuse, right? So you cannot reuse a local list. And definitely the concept of localization cannot be applied, right? And the value that you see is the value that is available on the clipboard, right? So in order to sort of overcome these limitations, we tend to go for using field values. So let's see. Let us just log in. See how this is going to help. Okay, right. Yes. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, we created a property called country and we have assigned that with a local list initially. Okay? So all the options that you have mentioned, they are available on the top. So it is something like this, where we define the local list, and once you run your transaction, so let me proceed. Right. So yes, I get to see the country values like this. The list of all the entities you have added on the property as a local list is available. Fine, looks good. But the problem, as I said, is I cannot reuse this across other case types, or if I have lists specific to particular case types, I cannot or I cannot reuse this across other case types. So instead, what we do is we will try to create field values. So data model property, sorry, data model field values. Okay, and for the field values, what is going to be the label is your actual value here. Okay, I mean the drop down choice or whatever it might be. So that is going to be your label. So let me just add it. And you can apply this. Let me create an open. Right, so yes, this is how your field value looks like, where you see you have the options of localizations, right? I mean, this is just like any other rule in Pega. So India is no longer, data, or it's not a choice or something. Rather, it is considered a rule. So it is part of a rule set, and you get to see all your versions. Then all the aspects of rule availability can be implemented. Yes. So this is the advantage when it comes to field values. So even though, I mean, it might be a hectic job, like probably if you have a lot of options, you tend to use, or you tend to create a lot of field values, which is a bit tedious, but still when you look at the uh, uh, positive side of it, yes, it is definitely advantageous. Let me just create a couple of other field values as well. Let me share it. Maybe a couple of others. See, right? So I have like 4 field values corresponding to country. So you see, each field value represents the property as well, onto which property is being mapped. Right? Now, instead of field values, or instead of local list, let us use the field values. So here it doesn't require this to be part of the same class. So that's where your advantage comes from, right? So it doesn't necessarily be part of work dash recruitment. It could be any other class also, but still I would be able to reuse it. Right? Yes. So why is only country available is because that's the current property, part of work dash recruitment, which has field values associated with it. Let me see it. I mean, for the end user, it might not have any impact, because it's just the same drop down that he sees. Right? From the implementation perspective, you don't get to see any difference. But in the back end, this is more advantageous instead of having your regular property. So yes, here comes your field values. And you can see all the existing instances as well. All right, so you see, these are the ones which we have created. Rest all, and probably the system provided ones, the OOTB related ones regarding your case statuses, then regarding instructions, captions. I have a lot of field values available. And you see, there is also a localized text that is possible. It's not just the actual one, not just the field value, but you can also see a localized value. Okay. For example, this channel. So this is the field value relating to a caption. The caption says select category. Okay. I will be able to select a customer category for value insights, right? So this is what is shown to the end user. What is actually the core say abbreviation of it is your select category.
So in the backend, we are storing select category, but for the user, it will be what we have given above, like select a customer. Okay.
Yes, correct, correct.
And if I want to give, okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so I was asking if now suppose if I want to give that for a particular property, say first
Mhm,
name uh, should be of 5 characters, and I do
mhm,
not want to write the property name, first name, that I do not want to write. So can we make it like the same message I want to give for last name also?
mhm.
Without mentioning the property name, can we do it?
Property name as in is it regarding the validation?
Yeah, sort of, yes. I
Oh,
mean,
no,
yes.
no. Validations, I mean, this does not count with the validation part. Here, just you are trying to, display something. That's all. But number of characters, or if you have to validate the inputs, for that we have to, go for either our validate rules or edit validate rules only. So the validation part
Okay,
cannot be
so
handled in the field value. No.
okay, so this is just for the display purpose on the UI.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
And what we can give in the parameters, there is something called as parameters below.
Mm. Right, right. So here, if you observe, I can also give in some inputs specific to the field values. For example, let me show something for which a parameter is already available. Mm. You can pass some inputs to it. None of these had. See, look at the number of instances you have for field values. There are around like 330 pages of field values available. Mm, so none of these had. Okay. So generally, when you would like to add in some detailing or probably a bit of if you want to add some things dynamically on your field value, you tend to pass it as a parameter so that that would be displayed on your actual value text. So it doesn't need to be static always, right? Sometimes if you would want some dynamic inputs to be coming in, you can add them as parameters, and that can be referred in your localized text here. So I'm just trying to show if for any existing one is there a parameter. Let me check. So see, most of these texts are static, right? So there's no point of any dynamic input and all. If you have any such, you can add in parameters. No parameters. Okay, I mean, but the whole point is just about having a dynamic entity.
Is it that in the message we like if I suppose in the
You can
parameter I
refer
gave
to, correct. You can refer to certain values there.
okay,
Yeah,
so is it referred to in the curly braces and we have to write the
correct,
name of the number
correct.
of the
You
parameter?
yes, you can say so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I think I've seen it somewhere.
Oh, is it okay? Okay. So the whole point is just bringing in some dynamic aspects. If you want, you can add in some parameters there. So I think that's all about field values, a simple one, but yeah, uh, important one in fact. Yeah.
So mostly
Mhm.
in the class you mentioned that we can give a separate class other than the class in which that property is created. So
Correct,
is it and we can use it everywhere. So mostly our field value is created in base class because
correct.
if we
Either you
mention the
can
class,
create it in the work class. Generally, we tend to do it on the work class directly on the parent level.
okay,
Yeah, or you
okay,
can also create them on the organization level so that across different applications you can reuse it. So that's more reusable than on the work class. If
okay,
on the organization layer, it's more effective. Yeah.
yes.
So I think that's all about field values.